Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, Bumblebee Corner. I'm Lisa. Today I'm going to do some upcycles with Sonnet's Maker's Box. It's the January box. Has some really great papers in here, great for spring. So I hope you enjoy them. It's a really cold, it's been a cold few days here in Michigan. So I'm excited to start thinking spring and getting some spring upcycles in. So I hope you enjoy them. Let me show you what I did, and I'll see you at the end. So for project one, I dug this out of my stash. It's just like a little photo holder. So I am going to use the English Rose Ticking, which is a recycled decoupage paper that came in the Maker's Box this month. But before I paint it, I decided it would be easier just to remove this little clip. So let me go ahead and do that, and then we'll start painting. So I was looking through all the paints that came in this month's box, and we have the Bespoke collection, which is a milk paint, which is Trellis Rose. The Fusion Mineral Paints was Rose Water and Tapestry, and then DIYs was Kissing Booth and Mint Chip. And I did go with the Fusion, the Tapestry, that was kind of the lightest color. So I just went ahead. Normally I would have painted the front white just to make that the paper really pop, but I figured this was light enough that I would just go ahead and use this and kind of experiment a little bit and see how it turned out. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give this all a coat of paint, and then we'll let that dry and see if I need another coat. And I did end up doing 2 coats just to make sure it was covered and it looked good. So let me go ahead and finish painting, and then we'll come back. So I got the front all painted and that is ready to go. So I decided I would just go ahead and do the back. And I'm using that same color, which is the Fusion all-in-one in Tapestry, which is all-in-one means there's a sealer built in. So I will have to seal the front after I put the decoupage paper on, but the back and the sides I won't have to do anything to. It's all sealed and it's ready to go. So let me get this painted and dried, and then we'll move right on to the fun part, the decoupage paper. All right, so like I said, I believe this is the English Rose Ticking paper. There was the English Rose Ticking paper and then a faded rose cloth, but I believe this is the English Rose Ticking, which is a recycled decoupage paper. So what I'm doing here is I had already cut out a piece of paper to fit my board, and I did a little bit extra because if you've seen my videos in the past, I've cut them short before when I tried to be exact. So I just went ahead and left a little bit extra, and I'll just sand that off at the end. But I am using DIY's Liquid Patina as my decoupage medium. So I just kind of went ahead and I put just kind of what we call a starter strip. I did a little piece at the top just to kind of hold it in place. And I do mist it, just that kind of helps. It stretches the fibers in the paper, and it just cuts down on the wrinkles that you get. It works wonderfully. Since I started doing that, it's been a game changer. So then I just lifted up the paper, added some more liquid patina on the rest of the board, and then I just used my paintbrush with more liquid patina on it, and I just kind of use that to smooth out wrinkles. And you do have to be gentle, but sometimes you'll get wrinkles and you kind of lift up the paper a little bit just to help smooth them out. But this paper went on beautifully. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this up, and I'm going to let it dry. While that is drying, I'm just going to kind of jump over and start doing this. So I had the little figure skates, which is one of Connie's rice papers. It is called Snow Day. And I have had this little frame, and I thought, oh, it would look so cute, just kind of framed. And if you had a figure skater, if you knew someone, child, grandchild, niece, cousin, whoever, this would be so cute to put maybe next to a photo of them in their skates. So I just and I didn't have to decoupage or do anything, so I just kind of cut out the paper, and I took the glass from the frame and just put it over top. And then I'm just going to trace it out. I just kind of put that glass where I wanted it, where I wanted the frame. So I'm just going to go ahead and trace around that glass. And then trim that out. And then we're going to move on to get the frame painted. So in the snow day, in those skates, there's just a little bit of a hint of this mint chip, like that color. So I thought the frame would look really cool painted that color. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to paint the frame. It did take 2 coats. So I did the 1 coat, let it dry completely, and then I just did the 2nd coat. So I'm going to go ahead and get that all painted up and let it dry. All right, I'm kind of jumping back and forth here. So if you prefer like to go through and finish one project totally, let me know in the comments, or if you're okay with jumping back and forth. I just thought with the dry time, it was just easier to go back and forth, and I just thought I would try it and see what you guys like better. So for this is the picture frame. It was all dry, so I'm just going through with my finger sander in a downward motion just to get all that excess or all the excess paper off. And you want to make sure you're going downward, because if you go up, you take a chance of loosening up that paper and maybe possibly even ripping it. So just go in a downward motion and you get a really good clean edge. All right, so now I'm just taking my little X-Acto knife, because there were, if you remember, there were some like little ridges in the board. And I just don't want to take that chance of that paper tearing. So I'm just taking my X-Acto knife and I'm just going to kind of score along each of those ridges. And then I just went back with my liquid patina. You just want to be really careful, and you do want to make sure your paper is super dry when you do this. Otherwise, there's a good chance it will tear. So just make sure it's dry. And then I'm just going to grab my liquid patina. And I'm just going to kind of go in those ridges just to make sure it's down. You just want a good coat in there just to make sure all those edges are sealed and adhere to the board. And then I did also just kind of go over the whole board again, and I just wanted to make sure all of them edges were secure, and then there was no chance of it lifting up. So I just kind of go over the edges, and like I said, I did use the Fusion all-in-one, so I didn't seal the back. I just did the sides anywhere that decoupage paper was. All right, so now back to the frame. I had it all put together, and then I was just looking at it, and that frame to me was just way too bright. I don't know about you, but I like just the more old look, the antique-y look. So I did end up using, this is by Sweet Pickins, it's an oil wax. So I did end up using that and then that would also seal the paint, because I did use a DIY, which is a mineral paint, chalk mineral paint, and that does need to be sealed. So I just took an old brush, and I did pour some of the oil wax, I just poured it in a cup. And then I'm just gonna dab, trying to get in all them little ridges, all the little detail. And then I just go over the whole entire thing, let it sit for a few minutes, and then I just take my cloths and wipe it. I did end up putting some gloves on just because this oil wax it's messy stuff. So as you see, I just kind of put it on, and then I just wipe it off, and it just kind of gives it that antique-y look, and I do like how it looks much better. So just let me go ahead, and I'm going to finish the rest of this frame up. All right, so now let's put this all back together. And I did end up cutting a piece of like white cardstock just to put behind the skates, just to kind of make them pop so they weren't against that like brown cardboard. It just makes them pop and it makes it look nicer. So I just went through and wiped all the fingerprints off the glass. We're going to set that back in there. Then we put the rice paper with the cardstock behind it. And then this project is complete. And now we're just going to finish up the little photo holder. We're just putting that the clip back on. Make sure it's straight. And I think this one turned out really cute also. And then I'm just going to grab a kind of like a Valentine postcard, and we'll kind of put that in there, and I think that's really cute. There you go. So the last project, I'm going to do this stool, and I'm going to use, Sonnet always includes a really pretty napkin in all of her boxes that we can use for decoupage, and I thought this would look really pretty on this stool. So that is what I'm going to use. I decided to paint the stool with the milk paint, which is the Trellis Rose. I thought that would look, it was just a really pretty, it's kind of like a darker rose colored, like a pink, I don't know. But I just thought it would look really pretty on the stool. So that's what I'm going to use. So I'm going to mix up the milk paint. And for this, you use equal parts of the powder and water. So I added 3 scoops of water. And in all reality, I really only would have needed 2. I did have quite a bit of extra. So I did the 3 scoops of water, and I did 3 scoops of the Trellis Rose. So you just want to mix that up really good just to try to get out as many clumps as you can. So I just kind of stir it, and then I'm going to set that aside for about 10 minutes and just kind of let it thicken up a little bit. It's all ready to go, so I'm just going to start by painting the bottom. And then as I started painting, because with the milk paint you can get chipping, it's just really unpredictable. Sometimes you get a lot of chipping, sometimes you get a little. But then as I started painting this, I was like, you know what? I should have painted it all a solid color first, like using like the DIY paint or the Fusion Mineral paint. Just because I didn't really care for the colors, like that yellow and that green. So I thought, well, you know what I'm going to do? So I didn't get it on camera, but I did end up adding just a little bit of extra bond, and that just kind of prevents the chipping. And I thought, well, after I'm done, I'll just kind of sand it, and that'll distress it and give it kind of the look that I want anyway. Because I really didn't want it to chip back and get all that, a lot of chipping and end up with that yellow and green. If I would have been thinking, I would have painted it like a darker color underneath for it to chip back to. But that's okay. Live and learn, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to paint this. This is going to take 2 to 3 coats just to get full coverage, because that yellow and green they're really, really bright. So let me go ahead and I'm going to get this all coated or all painted, and then we'll come back and decoupage the napkin on. So for this top where I'm going to put the napkin, I did just paint it with, this is just a Waverly paint. I got it at Walmart. This is the color Plaster, because I really want to make sure that napkin pops out. So I'm going to go ahead, and I do end up giving this like almost 3 coats to get really good coverage, to cover up all that yellow and green and pink. So I just do a coat, let it dry, do another coat, and then I did end up going back with a 3rd coat just to get it all covered really well. All right, so I got it all ready to go. So with the napkin, there's usually either 2 or 3 plies to the napkin, so you want to make sure you get down to that single ply. So for this one, I just found there was just the 2 ply, so I ripped that backer off, and I just kind of laid this napkin down where I wanted it, and then I'm just going to do small sections at a time. And I'm using that liquid patina, so I'm just going to kind of do a section here. And you have to be a lot more careful with the napkins. They're so much more delicate than the decoupage paper and the rice paper. So I just kind of go ahead and just do, like I said, I just do small sections at a time. And then I'm just going to use my paintbrush and just smooth out. I did have some wrinkles in here by the time I got done, but I figured that's okay. I'm just going to embrace them. It just kind of adds to the character. So again, I'm just kind of lifting that up and we'll lay it back down. Like I said, you do have to be extra careful with this napkin. They're so thin and so delicate. But I think it did turn out really well. And being that, especially since it's probably going to be used as a riser and possibly a plant or something on there, I wanted to make sure I really had it adhered down there good.
Wouldn't lie to you, doesn't matter what I do. She's got a hold on me. She knows how to drive a truck, but she lets me pick her up when we're going dancing. My heart stops beating when my headlights shining on her. She's my country girl.
So I got it all down. It's all completely dry. So I'm just going to take my little sander here and go again in a downward motion all the way around just to get rid of any excess or all that excess napkin. And I think this turned out really super cute. I kind of wish I would have lightened up the milk paint a little bit more. I could have added like a lighter color to lighten it up a little bit to maybe more match those pink flowers, but I still like how it turned out. So I'm just going to keep going around the edges and get all this extra napkin off. So I did end up taking this out to the garage. It was just easier to take it out there and just use my sander, electric sander. And it did go down to some of the yellow, mostly the yellow. I think there's maybe a little bit of green popping through here and there. But I do really like how it turned out. And here I'm just going to seal it. I'm actually using DIY's Big Top. I'm going to seal the whole thing. I went back and forth. I was going to use like the clear chalk and then the dark chalk, or not chalk, wax, clear wax and dark wax. And then I went back and forth thinking maybe I'll use the oil wax over, you know, the milk paint. I thought that would look good. In the end, I just ended up using the Big Top, which is just a clear sealer. Let me know what you would have done. Like I said, I went back and forth. I still could add maybe some of that, maybe even dark wax just to the top of it and just make it look a little more aged. I'd love to know what your thoughts are. Because like I said, I can still go back and do that if I decide to. So let me go ahead and I'm going to get this all sealed up, and then I will give you a final look at all 3 projects.
Wouldn't lie to you, doesn't matter what I do. She's got a hold on me. She knows how to drive a truck, but she lets me pick her up when we're going dancing. My heart stops beating when my headlights shining on her. She's my country girl. I couldn't tell you what she's doing with me. She's so damn out of my league. She's a little bit crazy on the weekends, dancing in her red dress, and I love the way she looks in my eyes. can't get enough of her. She can drive me so wild, just with that sweet smile, and there's nobody else for me. My heart starts racing.
So what did you think, guys? Which one was your favorite? I liked all three of them. I thought the skates were really cool. Connie does an amazing job with her rice papers at the Painted Photographer. And if you want any of those, I do have them available on my Etsy site. I'm hoping to get a website up. I'm just going to say this year because I don't know. I'm trying to figure out. I'm going to try to do it myself. And then if not, I'll have to find somebody to help me do that. But for now, go to my Etsy site. Check it out there. You can purchase them there. But I did like the little stool. I'm going to call it a riser. And then also that little photo holder. I thought that was pretty cool too. So let me know which one was your favorite in the comments. And until then, I'll see you next time. And hopefully you'll come back to see what else I have up my sleeve. Bye.